It's the weekly armchair kickoff.
Welcome back, everyone, to the weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast. This is our Champions League quarterfinal special. So we're doing something just a bit different today with regards to the YouTube channel today. So last night we were actually meant to do this at 9 p.m, but unfortunately, our host of the show, Sean, was a bit hungover, and so he was celebrating Easter weekend at home. So unfortunately, he wasn't able to do it. So I said, look, I'll step in today and I'll do it here on an afternoon show on my day off at 2 p.m. Also, in a few moments, I will be joined by Mr. Greg Chambers as well, where we will be talking all things Champions League here today. It's something a bit different. Obviously, the Devil's Advocate logo at the top right-hand side of the screen isn't there. And that show is coming tonight at 8 p.m. We will be talking Manchester United versus Granada. But it's obviously just a different show today. Kind of just to talk Champions League and kind of talk about the quarterfinals, because there's so many big games and so many interesting matchups in the Champions League this week. So it'd be interesting to see kind of what your thoughts are in the comments, what the thoughts are of Greg as well, in terms of all these games and all these kind of big situations that we could see this week. So I'm just going to bring Greg into the show right away, and we're going to get cracking. Greg, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. I'm doing all right. I have to cope with the hat on. I've been out running, so I'm certainly not taking my hat off at any point because my hair is a mess. It's very windy today. It's about 4 degrees in Scotland today, so I've been.
Yeah, do you know what? We had all the great weather here in Ireland last week, and this week it's just absolutely freezing cold. So it's kind of a contrast to kind of there's different seasons you kind of experience here in Ireland, kind of on a weekly basis. But obviously we're here to talk Champions League this week, like Champions League quarterfinals. There's a lot of interesting games coming up this week, and I suppose the first game we're going to come to is, as what Sean says in the comments, say anyone but Liverpool. The first game we're actually going to come to today is the big game between Liverpool and Real Madrid. Now, obviously, this is a rematch from the 2018 Champions League final. This was back in 2018 a big game in Liverpool's kind of rebuild in terms of where they were under Jurgen Klopp. It was their first Champions League final under Jurgen Klopp. Obviously, we know they lost that game, but then went on to win the game, the Champions League the year after against Spurs in the 2019 final. But obviously, this game bears a lot of significance kind of for both clubs. Obviously, Real Madrid kind of want to get the Champions League trophy back under Zinedine Zidane, though obviously they won a couple of Champions League under him in his first tenure at the club, and it was kind of something that he's been renowned for as Real Madrid manager, in terms of winning the Champions League. And last year they massively underperformed, in my opinion, in the competition last season. They were very lucky to be in the knockout stages, and then obviously Manchester City knocked them out last season. And then obviously you look at Liverpool this year. We all know how their league form has kind of gone. They've underperformed massively in the league. You can talk about injuries. I think that's obviously hampered them. Virgil van Dijk and Joe Gomez being out for large parts of the season, having not to play Fabinho in midfield. I think that's massively affected them. Thiago hasn't worked out as of yet. But kind of when you look at this game, Greg, obviously Real Madrid at the moment, their 2 first choice centre backs being out in Rafael Varane and Sergio Ramos. Yeah. Obviously Liverpool probably were hoping for Sergio Ramos to kind of play in this game, so maybe it give him an added incentive to kind of get revenge for that 2018 final. Obviously, we know what happened when Sergio Ramos injured Mo Salah. But for you, how do you see this game? Because for me, I think Liverpool have an advantage coming into this game, because I think with Ramos Varane being out, I think Liverpool's front three are going to terrorise Madrid's back four. I think they would have gave him a hard day anyway, like with Mo Salah, Diogo Jota, and Sadio Mane. I don't think Roberto Firmino will start this game tonight. I think Jota will probably play ahead of him, and obviously the two lads, in terms of Salah and Mane, will play alongside him to kind of have a more fluid kind of movement. How do you see this game going down?
I think this is probably the hardest one of the lot to sort of call. Obviously, both teams have not been sort of anywhere near their sort of top form or what we could expect from any of them this season. And like you said, this competition, this game was this was the catalyst for sort of how Liverpool went on over the next sort of 2 years. Missing Ramos and Varane, it's a big thing. But the thing, obviously, watching Liverpool on Saturday night. Was it Saturday night they were against Arsenal? Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And like Liverpool looked good, they were fine, but like Arsenal didn't test them, and they've still got half a back four there, and I think they won't get away with that sort of. They won't get away with that against Real Madrid. Like they will be tested. Like Benzema's playing well. They will test Trent, sort of in any way they can. Missing Ramos and Varane though, it's quite big. You could see Liverpool going through without those two playing. If they're not playing in both legs, then yeah, absolutely. I don't know what the situation is with Varane, but obviously Ramos got injured in the warm down for Spain. So yeah, you could see Liverpool winning it without those two. But by the same token, like Liverpool, like Alisson might have another shocker, or Liverpool's defence might show their vulnerability again. Trent might decide he doesn't want to defend again. Like there's so many factors in this game. I think it's probably going to be the closest tie of the lot of them. I think the rest of the draws are pretty solid one way or the other. Like I could see a clear winner, whereas I could see this one sort of going either way. But I think without Ramos and Varane, definitely tonight, I could see Liverpool getting a result tonight.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Fabinho, for me, when you look at this midfield battle, I think Fabinho is probably the most key player for Liverpool in this. People can talk about the boys up front, we know what they can do. But I think Fabinho in midfield is going to be crucial when you have players like Luka Modric, when you have players like Valverde in there, Toni Kroos, when you have players like that in midfield who can dictate the pace of a football game. You're going to need players to break up the play. I think Fabinho is going to be massive in terms of when Madrid are transitioning the ball quick tonight. I think you look at Fabinho, his attributes, he gets around the pitch, he breaks up play, he wins the headers, he wins the second balls. I think Fabinho, for me, if he's on form tonight, we could see Liverpool win this game. I think they could be comfortable as well. Obviously, I think a massively important player for Liverpool tonight is Jorginho Wijnaldum in terms of his work rate. I think they need to start him tonight. I think, for me, if I was Liverpool now, in terms of this is an away game, obviously, I think, is this being played on the training ground, I heard, or is it actually playing in the Bernabeu?
I don't think it's in the Bernabeu. I don't think they've played in the Bernabeu all season, actually.
There's something weird about that. I don't know how true that is. Some might let me know in the comments where it's actually being played tonight. But for me, and this is just what I think with regards to Liverpool's midfield. Now, obviously, I'm not a Liverpool fan. I don't support Liverpool or anything like that. But for me, looking at the way Madrid's midfield is and the way Liverpool could actually match up, I'd probably go Fabinho, Wijnaldum, Milner. I think that midfield three, for me, would be somewhere where they can really get an advantage. I think if you played that midfield three, Fabinho, Wijnaldum, Milner, they can suffocate Madrid when they're on the ball and not give them much time. Yeah. Obviously, Milner is an experienced player. He's been there. He's done it. He's won Premier Leagues. He's won Champions League. So obviously, he's been around the block. He's kind of won every trophy there is to win. And I think Liverpool would need leaders on the pitch tonight. Like, obviously, Curtis Jones is a good midfielder. We've seen how good he can be from a creative aspect. Obviously, this is a European game. Thiago could get more space if he's on the ball. It's not as intense as a Premier League game. But for me, that's the midfield three I go if I was Jurgen Klopp. Like, obviously, look, he'd know more about his team than I would. But looking from an outside kind of point of view, and look at kind of how Madrid kind of play with, obviously, them three, like Valverde, the Kroos and Modric, and how they kind of control the tempo. I think if you have the three of them there, you really disrupt them and you win the ball back quickly and you get it out to a Jota, you get it out to a Salah, and you can actually you can beat them on the you can hurt them on the counter. And obviously then Liverpool have their fullbacks in terms of Trent and Robertson, who look, we all know Trent has vulnerabilities sometimes defensively, but you can't doubt what he does have in terms of going forward. He's a good crosser of the ball. And look, Andy Robertson, look, as much as I think, like, I don't like him personally, but I think he's a fantastic left back. He gets up and down the pitch. He's the no-nonsense defender. And I think when I look at Liverpool this season, he's probably been Liverpool's most consistent performer. Like, he's always played well.
If not Salah, I think
more or less for Liverpool. Obviously, Salah's been their most productive player in terms of he's obviously top goal scorer in the league. And but some of his performances haven't been good, but he's still produced. Like, I remember the lads were on the London Lowdown podcast the other night, and Keith from Liverpool Day Trippers podcast was on, and like I mentioned the Keith in the comments, like, what do you actually think about Mo Salah? Because like, I've talked to a couple of Liverpool fans, and they're not really necessarily happy with Salah, but like, I look at Salah in the same way like I look at Bruno Fernandes, right? Bruno Fernandes might have the best game for United, let's say, right? He might underperform. but he still produces with an assist or a goal. I think Mo Salah is just like that type of player as well. If he's not having the best of game, he can pop up in any 5-10 minute spell and take the game by the scruff of the neck and get a goal, get an assist, and turn the game on its head.
Yeah, I think that's true. But where I think I think Salah, obviously Mane's been out of form this season, but I do think Mane is better in terms of the fact that if the goals and assists aren't coming like they weren't for that spell when they lost so many in a row at Anfield and they weren't scoring goals, I didn't think Salah was greatly effective in the game. He didn't bring a lot to the team. He doesn't bring a lot when he's not getting the goals or the assists. He's obviously in the team because he's got that little extra bit of quality. He's able to get sort of a half chance out of nowhere and he will take the half chance. But in terms of, obviously, his passing's not the best and things like that, I think players like Firmino, obviously he's not on the best season, Jota and Mane, they bring everyone else into play a lot better than Salah does. So when they are struggling and when they are on the back foot, I think Salah does struggle to get into games. Obviously, the goal speaks for himself, the talent of the man speaks for himself as well. But I do think that's where Liverpool, if they go on the back foot and let's say Real Madrid get an early goal, and then they're pushing, I don't believe Salah brings a lot to that team at that point. What I will say, obviously, what you were speaking about Fabinho, I think Thiago will be so key tonight. I think we'll probably see Thiago's probably best game in a Liverpool shirt tonight. Like the thing with Real Madrid, when you've got two ball dominant midfielders like Modric and Kroos, you can pretty much rip apart anyone in midfield. Like these guys they've been some of the top midfielders in the world for the last coming on decade now, and they're doing it at Real Madrid week in week out, and that's the advantage Madrid have when they get the ball. They will rip apart any defense. So I think it'll be so key to Thiago, obviously working in tandem with Fabinho. Fabinho wins that ball. He needs to give it to Thiago, and Thiago needs to take the game by the scruff of the neck tonight and really try and use that passing range and everything like that, because they might not get a lot of time on the ball in the middle of the park. So they need to be doing it with quality, and that's where I think someone like Thiago might shine over someone like Wijnaldum.
Yeah, but I can see your thinking with regards to it. Just for me, I think when you look at Wijnaldum, I think he's another player who Liverpool who's been another consistent performer. Like he always puts in 100%. He gets around the pitch, and I think again, like you looked at past Champions League games that Liverpool had in the past. Obviously, when you look at that Barcelona game back in 2019 when they won the Champions League, like what's his name? Sorry, not Thiago. Wijnaldum came off the bench, left back, and he came on for Robertson, I believe, when Robertson got injured. And like Wijnaldum came on and took the game by the scruff of his neck and really kind of changed the game. So for me, I kind of look at it and I say, yes, Thiago, this game could suit him against Spanish opposition. Like, obviously it's not as physical and the game won't be as intense as what a Premier League fixture would be in terms of physicality. But I still do think though, if that was me, if you're going Jurgen Klopp, if he's going for players that he can rely on, I think you have to look at the likes of Wijnaldum. You look at the likes of Milner. You look at the likes of Fabinho on the field, who have done it for Liverpool before. Like again, Thiago hasn't been the best for Liverpool this season. I think he's still settling in. Like obviously, there's no fans in the stadium. He hasn't had that chance to kind of feel obviously the support from Liverpool fans. He hasn't had that chance yet. And I think like obviously next season he'll be better next season. I do believe Thiago, when he comes into a full midfield of Henderson, Fabinho and Thiago, like he'll perform better because he'll have more license to go forward because he'll have the two lads behind him covering that space, and he won't have to.
I don't know if he's got that ability to go forward though. Like he's not been productive in terms of goals and assists his career. That's not his game. He's much more deep lying playmaker sort of thing and links up the plays. He's always the one to play the third pass. Like his third pass statistics, I was looking at them a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, actually a couple of months ago when people were comparing him to Bruno, which is just ludicrous. Looking at his third pass statistics, so where Thiago's goals and assists aren't there, what he was so good at for Bayern over the last few seasons was getting that third pass, was the ball in behind to someone like an Alphonso Davies for him to cut it across into the box for Lewandowski. Liverpool have problems breaking the lines, and I think that's the thing, though. Yeah. I just don't think Thiago can play that advanced role. I think if he plays alongside Fabinho, especially in games where they can be ball dominant, maybe not tonight, but maybe in like the lower league, Premier League games and things like that, when they could be ball dominant. If you've got Fabinho in behind and you have like Thiago and then another creator, I still think Liverpool lack a creator. Like Firmino could do that, but I don't think he's going to be there next summer. I do think they need a creator in there alongside Thiago and Fabinho, because if they do, that's a dangerous midfield. I just don't think Thiago can be the guy to go and get them 12, 15 assists. Across all competitions in a season.
He could be that like assist guy. I'm saying he could help break the line. Like, you know what I mean? Like
absolutely.
Liverpool have had problems with that this season, especially in terms of like help break teams down. But like Thiago's been playing a lot deeper, and he hasn't had the effect that he would have. And I think like when you look at the way Liverpool can possibly play, I think when he has a Fabinho and a Henderson in midfield, he won't have to do all the defensive work. He'll have freedom to play in midfield, to get on the ball and make things happen in midfield. As I said, make that third pass, get the ball out to a Mane a bit quicker, get the ball out to a Salah, get the ball into Firmino, and though obviously Firmino drags the centre half out so the two boys can make them inverted runs coming inside.
Yeah.
But like I think we won't see the best of Thiago until Van Dijk and Gomez come back into the team. And obviously they have the Fabinhos and they have the Hendersons in there who can play in midfield and obviously do all the dirty work, because that's not Thiago's game. So like for me, I think you have to look at this and say, I think it'd be too. Even though like look, I've given them a bit of stick recently, obviously, right?
They're awful.
If anyone watched the United show there last week, I gave them stick because fans were comparing Thiago to Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes, and like I think look at the end of the day that's ludicrous, as you said, but. For me, I still do think he is a good footballer. I think
of course,
he's just doing a job at the moment that isn't his style. And I think, look, we will see though a better Thiago next season when obviously the Liverpool have a fully fit squad. But just before we go on to the next game, the Champions League, with regards to what's your score prediction for tonight?
I'll go 2-1 Liverpool. I think that's how. I think it'll be close. I think Real Madrid will score first. I think Liverpool will come back quite strong. It is in the training ground, by the way. It's not in the Bernabeu. It's in the training ground, the Di Stefano Arena or whatever it's called. That's where it is. I'll go 2-1 Liverpool, and that'll set up a nice second leg next week. Yeah,
2-1 Liverpool. I'm actually going to go 3-1 Liverpool tonight. I think, look, if Varane and Ramos are playing, I would have been more on the edge. I probably would have said maybe 2-1 or 1-0 or do a closer game. But for me, I look at this and I say them two centre backs being out is a massive problem for Real Madrid, and I think Liverpool's movement up front is going to be too fluid for him. I think when you look at Salah, if they go a front three of Salah, Jota, and Mane, I think they could hurt him. I think Liverpool could tear him asunder.
Do you think Liverpool's makeshift back two is better than Real Madrid's? Because I think Nat Phillips is good, but I think Nat Phillips is good when he's playing against teams that want to play that way, when the ball's in the air a lot.
But you see, I think Madrid will play into Liverpool's hands because they'll play high up the pitch. They won't sit back and park the bus. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I suppose.
I think Liverpool's front three.
It's just both teams are missing. There's like 4 centre backs that normally would be playing in this game, and they're all missing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, like, when you look at Madrid, and I think the way they play, and they play higher up the pitch, this will suit Liverpool down to the ground. We've seen this season when Liverpool have come up against these teams that play higher up the pitch, they perform better. Like, obviously, bar the Manchester City game, right? Take that game out of the equation when City battered them at Anfield, right? Look at every other game when teams have played slightly higher up the pitch this season. Liverpool have actually done well. Yeah. And actually, the Chelsea game as well. Bar the Chelsea game as well. But you look at every other game, they played Spurs, they played Arsenal. And Anfield against us, we sat back, so that doesn't count. We look at all the other teams that Liverpool have played against, and they've done well in terms of breaking teams down the counter-attack. I think they can do that tonight. Just because I look at the way Madrid centre-backs are, Militao and Fernandes. I think Diogo Jota could tear them asunder. Like, do you know what I mean?
Casemiro's played there a couple of times this season, so unless Casemiro drops into defensive midfield and they have a midfield three, sort of Valverde, Kroos and Modric. Yeah,
they could do that too, but it just depends.
I rate Casemiro. I think he's top. I think he'll be important as well. Obviously, the same way Fabinho will be so key to get those ball players on the ball as quick as possible. I think that'll be obviously Casemiro's role in the Madrid team tonight as well.
Yeah, look, we'll see. We'll see what happens, and look, I think it will be a good game. Could go either way. Like, look, I could be completely off base here.
Yeah,
I could be completely off base here.
Porto put
it could be 3-1 Madrid.
Yeah, exactly. Anything can happen. That's what's so good about this competition, especially.
Absolutely, but look, going to kind of look ahead to another English team playing in the Champions League. This is a game where I think this is a game where this could go either one or two ways. Manchester City versus Borussia Dortmund. Yeah. Obviously, this is Erling Haaland's audition for Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. Obviously, Dortmund at the moment are kind of playing poorly domestically in Bundesliga. They're kind of in a top 4 fight, and with the quality of the squad they have, it's kind of astounding that they're actually in that race in the Bundesliga. When you consider Shane Dowley caused the Bundesliga the strippers league.
It is a pub league, though. It really is.
Yeah, it is.
It's not like I think quality football.
Yeah, but when you actually put all that aside for a moment, you look at like Manchester City. They're flying in the Premier League. They've been very adaptable this season. Their squad depth is absolutely world class. Like, you look at some of the players that are on their bench, they get into most 11s in world football. Mm-hmm. But for me, I'm thinking about this game in 2 ways today, Greg, and I've been thinking about this all morning before I obviously went live this afternoon. Does Pep Guardiola overthink his starting 11? Because what he's done in recent years, he done it against Liverpool in 2018, done it against Spurs, and he done it last year against Lyon in the later rounds.
Lyon, you should have battered Lyon. Yeah, he did.
Pep Guardiola, like, he overthinks his squad. And the thing about this is, I think if he does this again tonight against Dortmund, he could get hurt. They've Sancho, they've Bellingham, they've Haaland, Giovanni Reina. They've players like this who on the counter, if Man City decide to fuck around and actually not play their strongest 11 and go with a formation that they don't normally play. As Sean even says here in the comments, Haaland can shock him. I think this could be City's toughest game in the competition so far this season. Because if Pep doesn't go with his strongest team and he decides to try out, like, try to overcomplicate his formation. He done it against Lyon last year when he went to the back 5, and he never played a back 5 all season. No. And it hurt him. It hurt him from a creative aspect. You look at against Liverpool, the 2 years previous, he went with like 2 fullbacks playing ahead of each other to stop Liverpool going forward, and Liverpool still battered him. Yeah. So for me, I think Pep Guardiola, like, look, for me, I want Dortmund to win this game, right? I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I do not want Manchester City to win the Champions League this season. No. I predicted they win it, but I don't want them to win it because
I think
obviously, from my point of view, being a Man United fan, the last thing I want to do is see them win the treble or the quadruple this season. Yeah. I think, look, it would be horrendous. And obviously, William Bryant, who's on our channel, he wants to see this just to wind us up. To be fair, look, that's fair enough. That's his opinion. That's fine. But for me, like, you have to look at this and say, if Manchester City win that Champions League, like, that's the crown jewel for them. Like, that's literally, that's the Sheikh Mansour ownership, the road to that ownership almost complete, because that's all they want. That's why they got Pep in, like, was to win the Champions League. So for me, I look at this and I say, right, who can beat him? I think Borussia Dortmund can be that team if they play to the best of their ability. But at the same time, if Pep doesn't overthink this and he actually goes out, picks his strongest 11, picks his strongest team, City could batter him. I can see how these two teams win it. Dortmund on the counter, or City just play him off the park. Like, there's 2 ways with it. What are your thoughts with this fixture?
Well, I think it'll be a good game because obviously both teams try to play good football. Like, it's not like one side's going to just sit back, because that's one thing Dortmund don't do at all, is sit back. I watched them against Frankfurt at the weekend. They weren't great. They leave a lot of gaps in behind, which I think if City do pick their strongest 11, then they will pick them apart. I can't see anyone but City winning this. I feel like even if Pep overtinkers in this leg, Dortmund won't hurt them enough to take them out of the tie. Because really, to be out of a tie, if you're that Man City team, it needs to be 4 goals, doesn't it? Because even at 3 goals, you're going to be thinking that City team, if they got a goal in the first 10 minutes of the second leg, they could go in and hammer somebody. Yeah. So I feel like to take away the tie from City, they'd have to score 4, and I just can't see Pep's side conceding 4 goals. Like, they've been so, for my money, they're the best side in Europe this season. They will go on and win the Champions League, I think, providing any shock. It'll be interesting to see. Haaland will obviously be looking to impress. Although I don't know if his head is really on a move, or whether it's more Raiola that's keen for him to move and anything like that. But I think it'll be interesting to watch. It'll be interesting to see. I don't think Sterling will start. I think Foden will probably start, just to give him a bit more ball playing, midfielder, a bit more on the left hand side that can sort of cut in. I wouldn't be surprised.
I think Sterling, to be fair, right, with Raheem Sterling in these big games, he hasn't delivered. Well, especially against United, he hasn't delivered.
No, he's not been delivering really all season. He's not looked like the Sterling. Sterling a couple of years ago was genuine, was like a threat at every attack. It looked like he could score all the time and everything like that. But this season, he's just not been taking the chances, and he's not looked as threatening. But when Foden's come on, Foden's looked like a man possessed. I can see them going with a false nine again, which I think Dortmund will struggle with. In general, obviously, we've seen teams all over the world struggle with facing City's false nine. I can't see anything but a City win, regardless of how good sort of Haaland is and Sancho is. I just think that City team has got too much quality for a Dortmund side that are really in free fall. I think they're 7 points adrift now of fourth place. Probably not going to get Champions League. The sport director is now trying to think where he can basically make money up. So obviously he said that the plan was always for Sancho to go this summer. It looks like there'll have to be a couple other players that have to go as well. Dortmund are in free fall. City have got a real chance to hammer them and really wrap up the tie tonight. I hope they don't. I hope it's a close game. I hope it's a good watch. Because when this was drawn, it was always going to be a good game because, like I said, both sides try and play the right way. But I can't see anything but a City win over the two legs.
Yeah, like I think it's more hope than expectation for me, really, that Dortmund can actually knock them out, because Dortmund have knocked out big teams in the Champions League before. They have gone out, they have got results, but I think, again, you have to put this back to realism. I think City, man for man, have a better squad. Obviously, Dortmund have individuals who probably would get into City's team. Obviously, you look at the Haalands, you look at the Sanchos, I think they'd probably get into City's side. Obviously, you've
Sancho will be close, I reckon. Sancho will be close with some player where they've got Mahrez and Bernardo Silva. Like, Mahrez has been unbelievable this season. He'd certainly get in the squad. I don't know if he'd start for City, which is crazy to say. Someone like Sancho.
It's crazy to say, considering United are probably looking to pay 90 million for him. Do you know what I mean? So, like, it's absolute madness. But kind of like going for a score prediction. We're talking about this week's Champions League games. Obviously, we'll talk about the Champions League next week in terms of where we think the full tie is going to go. Yeah. So, like, looking at obviously score predictions for tonight. What are you going for tonight in the home fixture?
I'll go 3-0 Man City. I think it'll be professional. I don't think Pep will overtinker. I think he'll stick with the same sort of team that's been successful for them. I think they'll struggle to mark the fault. I think Dortmund will struggle to mark the false nine because Hummels literally looked like he's been struggling the last 2 weeks as well. So, yeah, I'll go 3-0 City.
3-0 City. Rach is in the house. Hi, Rach. Rach will be on the show with me tonight at 8 o'clock on the United show, and as will Greg, where we will be talking Manchester United versus Granada. So do check that out later on. And Dean Fury's also in the comments say he doesn't think Sancho would start for Manchester City. I debate that. I think a fully fit Sancho probably does start, but then again, that's up to opinion. But yeah, for me, I'm going to go. I want to go. Do I go with my heart? Do I go with my head here? Because like, my heart is telling me, right, go on, Dortmund 3-1, Dortmund 2-1. My head is telling me, Keane, shut the fuck up. Like,
it's going to be
I think City are going to batter him. Like, I think I'd probably go. I'll go 3-1 Dortmund, because I think Dortmund might get an away goal tonight. I think maybe Haaland or Sancho, someone like that, gets on the score sheet. Yeah. So I'll go 3-1, and hopefully Dortmund can take them back and do a 2-0 at the at the wall in their stadium. Yeah. But that's literally what I'm hoping for. More expectation. I'm probably thinking the next round, I'm hoping the other two teams who we're going to talk about in a minute, we hopefully them two teams do City. Anyone but Manchester City winning actually, let me rephrase that. Anyone but Manchester City or Liverpool win the Champions League this year. Yeah. Any other that I can take.
Me too.
I think if Chelsea win it, like, look, Sean will be on the lowdown for about 6 months. He'll be celebrating it, probably drinking beer on every show. Look, I don't mind that. Once he presents the show, that'll be fine. But like, I think I take any team but the two of them win it, because I think obviously Liverpool get champion if they win the Champions League this year. Even if they don't finish in the top four, they obviously have Champions League football. They can rebuild and obviously have the Champions League money next season. And obviously them being a rival, I'd rather see them in Europa League next year, whereas Thursday, Sunday, where it could hamper their thin squad. But look, obviously that's me talking from a Manchester United perspective. Sean thinks we're going to get no, I just kicked the wrong comment there. Sean thinks we're going to get a draw in the first leg, but City to go through overall. Unfortunately, I hope that's not the case. Ellis says in the comments here, do you think Dortmund's defence can handle City's false line system if they play it?
No.
That's Greg alluded to there. They've like some Matt Hummels here who does lack pace. And I think the movement could be a bit too much for him. But we'll see. Maybe experience prevails over youth. We'll see what happens. Obviously, since we just talked about Chelsea there briefly, we're going to talk about Chelsea-Porto now. Obviously, the weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast hasn't really been live since the weekend. And we just obviously have to address Saturday's result. Because I know Sean would have a dig at me if United lost 5-2 to West Brom. So, Sean, I'm sorry, brother, but here's a high five to you.
Prime West Barcelona Brom, from Sam Allardyce. I love that.
Yeah, literally. Do you know what, though, right? All jokes aside, I think West Brom played fantastically well in Chelsea's 5-2 defeat. They really played out of their skin. Yeah. Obviously, you can talk about the sending off. Sending off, I think, did have a massive effect. I think it made West Brom raise their levels up a bit.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on Chelsea's defeat on the weekend? Because obviously, David, they're coming up against a team in Porto now who did knock Juventus out of the Champions League, who will have a vein of confidence. Yeah. What are your thoughts going into the game? Because I think probably overall over 2 legs, I think Chelsea will have enough quality to get through. But do you think, do Porto get a new kind of vein of confidence now from Chelsea's defeat? And what are your overall thoughts on Chelsea's defeat on the weekend as well?
Well, Chelsea's defeat, like, I think what's so important is obviously Chelsea were down to 10 men so early. And I reckon with 11 men, they probably absolutely rinsed West Brom. No one's saying West Brom are a better side than Chelsea. It was just one of these freak results. But like you said, credit to West Brom. They played good football. They played really well. It wasn't like they scored the goals from like just lumping the ball into the box and scoring corners and anything like that. But Chelsea did struggle. But once they obviously went down to 10, but I reckon with 11 that hammered them. In terms of the Porto game, I can't see really any winner apart from Chelsea. Over 2 legs, I think Porto's always a hard place to go. Always is. In the group stage, I'm pretty sure Porto haven't lost a home tie in the group stage since 1999. So like that shows how hard a place it is to go. But I know Chelsea have won like 5 of the last 8 times that they've played or something like that. Obviously beat them in the round of 16 in 2015 as well. So Chelsea have got Porto's number in that sense slightly. I think they're going to have too much quality for them over 2 legs. I think over 1 leg, then you would go, like if this was like last year when it was just that one tie knockout tournament, I think you'd really say Porto have got a chance because like anyone could beat anyone on their day. But I think with the 2 leg format, I think Chelsea will probably walk out the victors. But Porto will give a good account for themselves. They don't have anything to fight for in the league. Sporting won again last night, so I think they're now 6 points or 7 points.
Sporting aren't a bad side, are they?
Yeah, no, they're doing all right. It's almost almost like taking their best player managed to actually make them better in some sense. But yeah, they're doing well. They've got nothing really else to fight for. Champions League is their one and only thing. So it could be interesting. It would be very funny to watch Porto turn over Chelsea, but I just don't think it'll happen. I feel like Sean said there, obviously Porto manager said he would have preferred that Chelsea did not lose at the weekend. Yes, so Chelsea might be a bit angry, a bit annoyed. Obviously, there's been reports of bust ups in training and things like that. So clearly, the Chelsea players are affected by this loss. They'll be keen to put it right. And if Porto get it wrong on the night, they could be in for a battering because Chelsea have obviously played quite well since Tuchel's come in.
Yeah, I think look when you look at Chelsea under Tuchel, obviously they've kept a lot of clean sheets in the time under Tuchel. Obviously, when you look at it, they haven't been putting the ball in really in the back of the net. They haven't scored too many goals. Obviously, they've been winning games 1-0, 2-0, 2-1. So like they haven't really gone and really dominate a game. I think this could be one of them times where they can actually go and dominate because again, if Porto, like I think over one game, you could say, Porto have a chance they can nick a result. Yeah. But you have to say when you look at Chelsea's overall individual quality on the pitch, obviously Mason Mount, so he's been a very good number 10 this year. He's very good in midfield. I think Kovacic in midfield, I think he could be a very important player for them in terms of high energy, to obviously breaking up the play and obviously getting Chelsea being progressive going forward. Obviously, N'Golo Kante in this type of game, he's a very important player. But obviously, look at Chelsea up front. I think Timo Werner, Does he start? He's been out of form recently.
Giroud
For
start
me,
if he's fit.
For me, I go Olivier Giroud.
Mm-hmm.
And this just is, again, people say you have a boner for Giroud or whatever it is. I just think he's so underrated. I've been saying this since he's been at Arsenal, when Giroud was at Arsenal. I said Giroud is massively underrated. I think he's an experienced striker. He knows where to be. He gets into them positions. He brings players into play. And I think as a striker option, maybe you play Werner out on the left and you play Giroud up front. And Giroud holds up the ball, similar to what he done for Eden Hazard. Get Werner in behind. Take the centre back out of the equation. Do you know what I mean? I think Giroud, big game, big player. I think he has to go. I think he has to start. Obviously, Sean says here, European games suit Werner more. High lines are played more often. Yeah,
doesn't matter if you can't put the ball in the net. You got a one-on-one against Germany, like playing a high line and missed it. He's just not in the goal scoring form. Like even the assist he got on Saturday against West Brom. Timo Werner last year absolutely lashes that and doesn't even think about passing. Like his confidence is just so shot just now. You obviously heard Tuchel talking about how he wanted to practice finishing training, and Tuchel sent him in. His confidence just isn't there. I feel like Werner will start on the left, whether the game suits him or not. You'll get a lot of spacing behind on the left, but at the end of the day, he's going to be there to try and create for Giroud, because he's not going to. I just don't think he's got the confidence to cut inside and take those shots and really keep it on. He's just not playing with any confidence just now. He needs a penalty, or he needs something like that to just be given to him on a plate or a tap in or something, just to get his confidence back that he can still do it, because quite clearly he's a confidence player. But what Tuchel's been saying, he needs to feel like he's in good goal scoring form. I don't think, and he's certainly not this season. He will come good. He will be. He's a fantastic goal scorer. We all know he is. He scored a lot of goals last year, and has done for his entire career. He scored lots of goals, so he will come good. But I don't think, whether this game suits him or not, I just don't think he's in the right place mentally in terms of form. To really play up front in this game. I think he'll be on the left with Giroud through the middle, and I don't know who'll play on the right. Maybe Hudson-Odoi. If you're going to have Giroud in the box, you want someone with real quality crossings. Maybe.
Do you know, I'd maybe even go Ziyech or someone like that who can whip in a ball from an angle, or Havertz. Someone like that who can whip in a ball from an angle.
Maybe just for the pace though, because Ziyech doesn't quite have that turn of pace. So if you're going to try and get him behind and hit them quick. I think
what could happen is, it depends what way Chelsea set up. If they go like with a 3-5-2 even, or a 3-4 or a 3-4-3, it depends what way kind of Tuchel approaches it. Like if they went to a 3-5-2, it wouldn't be a bad idea to maybe put Hudson-Odoi right wing back, and then like obviously you can press high. Then you obviously have Giroud up there who can link up with Werner, and maybe you put Mount in behind the two of them, and you go Kovacic and Kante, in behind the two of them. Obviously, you go Chilwell as a wing back. He's played there for England. Then you go maybe Azpilicueta, Christensen. No, sorry, Azpilicueta, Zuma. Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva, and Zuma probably.
Zuma.
Back three like that.
I don't know what Sean. Obviously, Sean's in the comments. I don't know what he thinks about playing a back five against Porto. Is that not negative? Like, could you not be looking for? I don't think Havertz will play false nine. I don't think he'll start. But I don't know. Is a back five negative against Porto? Should you be looking to go out there and because they are the weakest team left in the draw. Chelsea, obviously, they want to be going on and winning things, and they think they can really win this competition. Is playing a back five against Porto a bit negative? Obviously, we complain a lot as Man United fans playing sort of 2 DMs against Brighton. Or 2 DMs against West Brom. Is playing a back five against Porto? Is that maybe seen as negative? You can maybe go a back four.
But I counter argue that, because that seems the same system he's been playing since he's come in. So why would you change in a big game? In a big game, why would you change your system? What you've been implementing over a couple of months in a big game, like we've just said there about Pep Guardiola overthinking a situation. I know it won't be Tuchel overthinking. But if you change your system, it changes your patterns of play that you've been implementing over a couple of weeks or /months. Like, if you do that, I can see obviously you want to go more attacking, more expansive. Yeah. But at the same time, you have to say, it could disrupt the way Chelsea play. And does Tuchel take that risk? I don't think he's that type of manager. He's very astute in that way that he's set. And I think, look, we can talk about Tuchel, Oli, Arteta, all these managers, but in a big game, you're going to go what you know, regardless of who you are. I think that's the thing. And Sean says in the comments, Sean says it's weird because he's 5 at the back in defence, but transitions in attack. Right centre back comes with the ball too. Yeah, Aspilicueta does step out with it at times as well. Before we actually get to the last game, we've a comment in here from an Aston Villa fan. So we're going to change it up here. Love the Villa says, what do you think of Aston Villa? Do you know what? I'm going to give this to you, Greg, this season, because I think they've been a fantastic team. Obviously, Jack Grealish, look, people all know on the United show, I always talk about if there's one player I take at the Manchester United Football Club, it's Jack Grealish. He has the arrogance, he has the flair, he has all the attributes to a Man United player. Yeah. But when you look at Villa this season, they've been absolutely fantastic. Obviously, you're Scottish, John McGinn, fantastic footballer. You know, he's a very good baller. Douglas Luiz, again, if you're Man United looking for a DM and we can't get one or two of our top targets, maybe look at Douglas Luiz, who's someone who's a very good player. Obviously, Konza, centre-back, I really like Konza. I think he's a very good player. Might be a late shout for the England team. We don't know yet. Maybe Southgate may look at Connor Cody ahead of him. Yeah. But for you, Greg, in terms of this season, what do you think of Aston Villa?
I think they've been outstanding. If you look where they finished last year, being so close to sort of the drop, and then just how well they did. So obviously what they did the first time they came up, they spent a lot of money and then ended up going back down and got stuck with a lot of players that they had to get rid of, which was not the way to do it. And then they've come up again this time round. They just stayed up. And then the signings that they made this year were just so well done. Like, they got a free run at Ollie Watkins, who's been fantastic. He's got 11 goals and 3 assists, which is just a great return for your first season in the Premier League. You've got Anwar El Ghazi, who's scoring goals. You've got a system under Dean Smith now that's allowing you to break teams down, and you're not having to sit back as much. You can be a ball dominant side in this league. And yeah, they've been amazing. They play some great football. They do struggle a little bit with creativity without Grealish, but every team does that. Like, you take the best player out of any team, they struggle. You take Bruno Fernandes out of Man United, and we struggle. You take, I was about to say Saka out of Arsenal at the weekend. They created absolutely nothing. So you take your most creative player out, you're going to struggle to create, which is absolutely fine. But I think what's so good about Villa is the signings that they made, all of them have worked, all of them have gelled, and it just bodes so well for the future, for especially this summer, that I think Villa fans can have complete confidence in anyone that Dean Smith wants to bring into the football club is going to be set to fit that system, and it could only progress them forward. But no, they play some brilliant football. They're doing really, really well. Obviously, there was maybe a shout earlier on the season that they could get European football. I'm not sure if they will now. A couple of poor results recently, but no, in general, absolutely brilliant. They play good football, and yeah, Dean Smith's definitely doing all the right things.
Yeah, he's doing all the right things, and obviously he's a good coaching staff behind him as well. He's obviously has like a John Terry there, who obviously look from a defensive point of view for their defenders is probably, apart from Rio Ferdinand, no better brain to pick in English football in terms of centre back. Do you know? In terms of that, obviously look at Villa at the moment. They're on 29 games played, 44 points, in 9th place. Only 3 points off Everton, who people were saying could be a shout for the top 4. Obviously, you look at Everton now; they're probably, I say, out of the race at this moment in time. But Europa League isn't out of the equation for Villa. I think like they have a game in hand. They win that game in hand, they go on 47 points, 2 points behind Liverpool, who are in 7th and who could still be in the Champions League later on. And Liverpool may prioritise the Champions League if they knock Real Madrid out. So I think they still have a chance to get Europa League.
But obviously, they're 11 points better off now than they were sort of at the end of last year, Villa, because I think they stayed up on goal, or maybe not on goal difference, maybe by a point or something like that. Villa stayed up by, because they were 17th last year, I'm pretty sure.
Obviously, there was that little kind of thing that happened in the Sheffield United game that kind of kept them up. They were fortunate that way, but you need fortune. They were fortunate, but look, they benefited in the right way now. Like, they've obviously went on and built from that. They've obviously made the right astute signings in that regard. But I just want to say, just before we go on to PSG against Munich, obviously we give a Chelsea score prediction as well. I just want to say, for the Villa fan that is in their comments here today, I please to God hope that you finish ahead of Arsenal, because that would just be beautiful. Do you know what I mean? It'd just
If we're
be
going to
absolutely
ask,
fantastic.
Liverpool would be nice.
Yeah, Arsenal or Liverpool, but look, at the end of the day, Arsenal talk a lot of tripe about United, and they're worried about the wrong United. There's the United behind them called Leeds United, who are level on points with them. Like, they're worried about the wrong United. So, like, look, to be fair, it'd be great to see Aston Villa finish out of Arsenal. But yeah, just before we obviously go on to Munich and PSG, we forgot to give our score predictions for Chelsea and Porto. So I'm going to go 3-0 Chelsea for the first leg. What are you going to go?
I'll go 2-0 Chelsea for the first leg. Porto are well organised, but I think if Chelsea nick a goal early, Porto maybe start to play out later on in the game, they could probably nick a second one. So yeah, I'll go 2-0 Chelsea.
So we've gone 2-0, and Greg's gone 2-0, I've gone 3-0. Let us know in the comments, guys, what you think what the score will be tonight. Tomorrow night. And obviously, look, we hopefully, from our perspective, we're all right, because that's always a good thing. But obviously, looking ahead to tomorrow, a repeat of last year's Champions League final in Bayern Munich versus PSG. Maurizio Pochettino has went to Ligue 1 and is losing a one-horse race.
That Tuchel started. We'll say there's a reason Tuchel left PSG. It's because he was going to lose the French league. So I will give Pochettino credit in some form that Tuchel did start the losing, but yeah, he's not been good since he's gone in.
Yes, like obviously Pochettino's losing virtually what used to be a one-horse race in Ligue 1 for the league, and obviously Lille beat him on the weekend. On the flip side of that, Robert Lewandowski on international duty got injured, and now he's out for the both legs. Obviously, look, Lewandowski, best number 9 in the world for me. You can debate whether it's him or Harry Kane. I think they're very close. I think they're very, very close in terms of best number 9 in world football. I think you look at the two of them, you look at numbers, you obviously look at the quality of the team. Like, I think if you put Kane into Bayern Munich's team, he'd be ridiculous. Like,
they play different as well, don't they? Like, you could have them both in the same team because they both do different jobs. Like, I think that's what's so good about both of them, is like they're both very different. Lewandowski's just such a ruthless finisher. Like, he scores absolutely everything, but Kane, especially this season, has become a lot more of sort of like that creator as well that he can be.
Yeah, and I think Kane, like, he's very well rounded. I think he is the best number 9 in world football alongside Lewandowski. Obviously, people talk about Haaland. Then obviously Haaland is probably just below them, but like he still has a lot of development. I think Haaland, when he hits their age, he'd undoubtedly be best, and by far as well. I don't think they'll be even the conversation. But when I look at this game, obviously PSG aren't doing well domestically at the moment. No. Bayern Munich are missing their best striker. There is a lot to give here, because obviously Bayern Munich's confidence won't be as high without their talisman up front. PSG will have something to prove, because everyone is giving them slagging across the football world for losing a one-horse race. Obviously, you have the likes of Mbappe, you have the likes of Neymar, you have the likes of Marco Verratti. They have a lot of quality footballers. Obviously, look at Bayern Munich, they have the likes of Gnabry, they have the likes of Leroy Sané, Goretzka. They have a lot of quality there as well, but they're missing the man who puts the ball in the back of the net in Lewandowski. How do you think these two legs are going to play out now? Just because of the way, with the way that's gone. I'm going to come to a comment from Sean in a moment.
I still think Bayern are going to have sort of too much for PSG. They're a good side, but they're struggling so much domestically. I just can't see Bayern not winning it, even without Lewandowski. They obviously played without Lewandowski at the weekend, still found a way to beat Leipzig. Granted, I don't think Leipzig are a great side, but they still managed to beat them. I think Bayern have got far too much for them, especially when they're on the ball and their two best players, Neymar and Mbappe, they don't track back anyway. So that's a lot of pressure on the back line on the midfield and on the back line of PSG. I just think Bayern will see it business as usual. Over two legs, they can take their time. I think, especially early doors, Champions League final, they felt quite rushed, and then they sort of grew into the game. Bayern definitely got better as the game went on, even though PSG had early chances. But I think over two legs, Bayern will take their time. They'll just sort of pick them apart. I think it'll be a couple of goals tonight, a couple of goals next week, and it'll be pretty easy for them. I just think Bayern are far too dominant on the ball, and they're far too clever off the ball to lose to a PSG side that are very much struggling just now. I know it's obviously all PSG. What PSG want, like they're very much like City. This is what they want. They know they can win Ligue 1. They've done it many times, but they want the Champions League. They're going to have to do it the hard way, but I don't think they're going to beat Bayern Munich.
Thing about this is, I'm in two minds here, because with Lewandowski being gone, we haven't seen Bayern Munich actually go without him for a prolonged period of time ever, really, since he's come to the club. So it's really very interesting to see what they do. Do they go with a false nine or something like that? Do they go with maybe Leroy Sané through the middle? Do they go with maybe Gnabry through the middle, or Kingsley Coman through the middle? Do you know what I mean? There's so many different variables that could happen there. But for me, I'm in total agreement here. And I'm going to show a bit of bias here as well. For me, number one, I think Bayern Munich have the best chance of stopping Manchester City win the Champions League, and also Liverpool win the Champions League. I think they'd be too strong for both of them. Number two, I love Pochettino. I do. I think he's a fantastic manager. But there's a certain level of Manchester United fans who are just religiously Ollie out. Just religiously, regardless of what he does. And it wind them up if he got battered in the Champions League. It really would. And I'm just, again, that's just more of a personal thing for me. You know who them fans are. Not going to name them.
You should have seen the reaction when their beloved Nagelsmann got put out by Liverpool. And it's like, oh, wait, that manager that hasn't won anything and really just plays like a posh Leeds. Yeah, that one, not great either. Like, I'd rather have Ollie. Genuinely would. Like, it's not like we're going to bring in a serial winner and Pochettino or Julian Nagelsmann. Like, they've won nothing. It isn't great.
Exactly. Like, look, again, you can bring these team managers in, but again, once the board doesn't give them money, second place will be their ceiling, guys. Exactly. Go down to Starbucks, wake up, boys, and smell that fucking coffee. Because again, that's just what the ceiling is. But look, for me, I think over two legs, Bayern Munich have too much. I think all over the pitch they have too much quality. And again, they're more experienced at the higher level. And again, I think they'll go through. I think as the first leg goes, I think Bayern Munich will go through 2-1. And then again, I think the second leg probably will batter him. If Lewandowski, I know they're saying he's out, could potentially get back.
If he's anywhere near fit,
I still think Bayern Munich over two legs. We probably see like a maybe 4-1 or 4-2 in aggregate score.
I reckon so. I'm total agreement. I think PSG might nick a goal, but aggregate be 4 or 5.
Yeah, absolutely. Rory's in the house. He says afternoon, Rory. Good to see you in the comments again today. And just since we're on the topic of PSG, I know Sean likes to throw an L dig, so let's get this on screen. Sean says, "Are we forgetting Pochettino spent years with Spurs? The characteristic of bottling rubbed off on him." To be fair, right? Look, I love the dig, but what Pochettino done with a 50 million net spend during his time at
insane
in over a 5-year spell, it is phenomenal. So look again. Maybe he's bringing some Spursy traits to PSG, but I'm not going to show him disrespect in that regard. What he done with no spend, he made Spurs from a mid-table mediocre team to a team that was challenging for Champions League and got to a Champions League final. Since he's left, they're gone back to being a mid-table mediocre side to play mediocre football. So like I'm saying this now ahead of a game on Sunday. You know, like that could come back to bite me in the arse. But
forgot we put
you can't say that Jose Mourinho's gone in and done significantly better than Pochettino. You know, obviously if he wins the EFL Cup, Spurs fans automatically say, yes, Mourinho has gone in and won a League Cup, but look at the league position. The league position ultimately shows progress. Do you know what I mean? Portsmouth won an FA Cup, they got relegated a year later.
Yeah, any team can fluke and win a cup, where it proves if you're improving as a league and in the league positions that you can fluke your way through a cup. Bradford have been at a Carabao Cup final. Like
Swansea won a Carabao Cup.
Yeah,
do you know
exactly.
What I mean?
You can
like
flip your way to a
Cup is
cup.
the measurement of progress overall. Like
no, not at all.
Do you know what I mean? But look, that's enough about that. But we've just come to the end of the show here today, guys. So Greg, obviously, I made a prediction on the London Lowdown as to who I think will win both European competitions. I said Manchester is going to reign supreme. In terms of Champions League and the Europa League. I did throw AC Milan there as well, but obviously we done them, so obviously that prediction is gone for me. Obviously this being a European show, obviously in the Champions League. I'm going to get your Europa League prediction off you later on tonight on the United show.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what's your prediction for the Champions League? Who's winning the competition?
I think Man City. I've thought Man City pretty much all season. I just think they're far too good, and I think everything. I think the last few seasons, how Pep has failed has just been catalysts for how good they've been this year and how professional they've been. I can't see anyone but Man City winning this tournament. It'd be a good game with Bayern, but I still think they have too much for them. I just think I think Pep is the best coach in the world, and he can change a situation to suit him almost. So if Lewandowski is out for a while, then if maybe he misses the first leg against City in a few weeks' time, if they both get through, then maybe that's the way Pep can really exploit it and kill the tie early. But I can't see anything but really a City win for the whole tournament this year, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think it's written in the stars for Pep, really, isn't it, this year?
Yeah.
But hopefully that's not the case. Maybe Erling Haaland can, obviously do Ollie a favour, do all of us a favour.
I'd rather Sancho did it. I would rather Sancho did it and then came and joined us than Haaland, because that would be like an audition for Haaland.
He'd be a hero, wouldn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
Sancho would be a hero if he knocked him out of the Champions League and then signs for United. I think that would be, imagine him. No, but I'm just, okay, right, since you've actually mentioned that, right, I'm just going to throw a scenario out to the Manchester United fans and just all the other fans in the comments, because we have a bit of diversity here, right? So imagine this situation, right? Sancho knocks City out of the Champions League. Man United then go pay the 90 million for Sancho in the summer, Dortmund. Oh. And then you do what you do. Near where City are situated, and a lot of City fans live in Manchester.
Yeah.
You get a welcome to Manchester sign with Jadon Sancho on it.
100%. I think it'll be less than 90 million as well. I think it'll be about closer to 75, 80 million for Sancho. Dortmund are seriously in trouble financially. They need the money. And like Michael Zorc's already came out and said he wished he took the 100 million last year. So it's even funnier that we're going to go and pull their pants down and get them for less if we go this time round. If we go, whether we do or not.
Ed Woodward will be after pulling their pants down. That's kind of funny, because with all the shit I actually give the man, he'd be actually playing the blinder on it. But
he at least tried last year. Like, he did try, and I don't blame Woodward for not wanting to pay 120 million. Like, Man United did really well to like hold their stance, because that's exactly what we didn't do with Maguire. It's what we didn't do with Wan-Bissaka. It's what we've not done with so many transfers, is just be told a fee and pay it. But I think Woodward did. He got a lot of stick, obviously, for not bringing in Sancho, but it's going to work out. If we get him this year for 40 million less, it's going to be a masterstroke, because he held his ground and said, no, I'm not paying that, because this isn't what we believe he's worth. And I don't think Woodward got enough credit for that, because Man United have built this reputation that they'll just pay whatever anyone wants, and then we wonder why we don't have money to spend in the summer. It's because we overpay on players that are useless or players that aren't at that level. So I think they did a really good thing. Obviously, it would be lovely to have Sancho this year, but for 120 million, I don't blame Ed Woodward for not wanting to spend 120 million. I think it's very good that he stuck to his guns, held his ground, said, no, this is what we're paying. If you're not happy with it, that's fine. We'll come back in next year. So I think Woodward will go in this year, because if you're going to pay 100 million last year, you're going to pay 80 million this year. I just think that's common sense. Michael Zorc's already said that the plan is to sell Sancho this summer. I can't see him going anywhere else, to be honest. Teams like Real Madrid and Barcelona, they want Mbappe or Haaland. That's who they're saving up for. I just think it's destined that he's going to end up at Man United, but I think it'll be for closer to 75 or 80 million than it will be 100. And that's a good bit of business by Woodward, but he won't get that credit. But I think he does deserve that credit for sticking to his guns.
And a comment is coming from Rory with regards to Haaland to United. In the words of Vince McMahon, no chance. That's what he got.
If it's next year, if it's next year, then it's anyone's ball game. Like, if he waits for the release clause and they don't sell, I don't think he'll go this year, because what's been reported as a fee and like added on agents' fees and things is ludicrous. But if it's next year, it's anyone's ball game, and he could go to literally anyone in the world. Like, I wouldn't put us in front or behind of anyone. Maybe apart from Real Madrid and Barcelona next summer, but in terms of any other club in the world, I wouldn't
this
put
year,
us in front or behind. But this year, not a chance. I don't think he'll go. I don't think he won't. Like, they want ludicrous amounts of money. What's been reported of what he asked for from Barcelona was 20 million to Raiola, 20 million to Haaland's dad, and 30 million to Haaland plus the transfer
Why
fee.
is Haaland's dad getting 20 million just for driving him there? Like,
yeah, it must be. But like, it's just like that. That's Haaland's good. We all know Haaland's good, but he's not 250 million pounds good. Like, no footballer is worth 250 million. And no one's going to pay that because they'll know, if we wait a year, we go a year without Haaland, we'll get him for under 70 next year. Or yeah, let's do that. Like, it's common
67
sense.
million.
Yeah, no one's going to pay that this summer. It'll go next year, and then it could be literally anyone's race. I do think if one of the big Spanish teams wants him next year and can't afford him, and they go for him, they'll get them because they get the pick of the bunch with the players. They always have done. Like, it tells you what sort of caliber those two teams are. When Man United and Chelsea and City sell to those teams.
Sean's commenting here, Haaland's dad trying to finesse 20 million for not wearing a condom, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, but pretty much that's what, no one's going to pay that this summer. He won't go this summer. He'll stay at Dortmund. Sancho will come in this summer. And then next summer, who knows, if there's 70 million to spend at United, we might try. Obviously, all he said, he still speaks to Haaland. Maybe that's a good thing. So yeah, let's wait and see.
Yeah, let's wait and see. Absolutely. But look, that's us wrapped up for today. Obviously, look, we went over 1 hour. That's absolutely fantastic. Comments again have been smashing today. Do smash a like in the video. Do subscribe to the channel. We are back at 8 p.m. tonight. 9 p.m. tonight. Sorry. 9. I was like 9 p.m. Yeah. I think it's like, I'm so used to United shows today, but I changed the time to 9 tonight. Yep. We are back at 9 o'clock. Where we are talking all things Manchester United. We're looking ahead to United's big game in the Europa League against Granada, and also obviously looking back on the weekend's results. And I'm also going to address certain Manchester United fans and a certain agenda that they have. So I'm going to address that later.
It's not mine. It's
not his Donny van de Beek agenda, but it's a certain couple of Man United fans who had an agenda which a clip went viral on the weekend. So I'm going to address that too later on. So do check that out because Greg Chambers got blocked on Twitter over it. So do check out tonight's show. We have myself, Greg, Amy, and Rach from our Three Devils and Gunnar show. They're coming on. So look, we will have a good chat about the Europa League. We'll have a chat about the weekend, obviously.
Positive vibes only. Positive
vibes only tonight. Well, and diplomatic views.
Yeah,
blind positivity, but all diplomatic views. So
of course,
check that out tonight. And look, do check out the London Lowdown. Will be back later on this week with a Manchester United versus Spurs preview from a London perspective. And then this Friday, 8 p.m. this Friday, we do have the Manchester United versus Spurs preview on the United show. Spurs fans, United fans, it could be a good one. So do check that out too. But I'm out here. Greg's out here. We'll see you at 9 o'clock.